So while I'm working on a massive video on Devil May Cry 3 and a video talking about a single page can ruin a manga in a day or two, I figured, let's talk about the Amazing Digital Circus. I mean, obviously, since the next episode is probably coming out the same time you're watching this. Hopefully.
Oh shit, do you say something, boss?
Filled with gun-toting action, there's been some talk about how Pomni is, quote-unquote, out of character from what we've seen so far of the episode. Now, my own personal thoughts on it is, I don't care and don't see it as a problem. Characters in media, at least the ones that need to develop, aren't static characters. And don't get me wrong, contrary to what people believe, you can make static characters interesting and entertaining, but it depends on the story. And for the Amazing Digital Circus, what we've been seeing is the culmination of Pomni slowly adapting and evolving to the situation. Besides, in my humble opinion, if you were in a situation where you couldn't die and were free from all consequences, you'd probably do the same thing with guns. Hell, there's a small part of the appeal of video games. It's why whenever I play Fallout New Vegas, I can rest easy that whenever I do this, it's all part of a game. But let's rewind a bit and actually talk about Pomni, since I think part of the issue with this is the fact that we've had months, or hell, at this point, years between episodes.
Welcome to the Amazing Digital Circus!
We need to remember that at the beginning of the series, Pomni was basically ripped from the real world and plopped into a virtual reality. One where she can remember almost everything about her life except her name.
Why can't I remember my name?
You're stuck in a jester outfit, and you've got this one guy breathing down your neck, and you suspect that he's a few knives short of a kitchen set. Throw in the fact that everyone else looks like, well, this, and they all seem to go along with this insanity, it's gonna cause some freaky reactions, even more so when you slowly come to terms that there's no escape from here. Oh, and there's apparently the looming inevitability that you'll lose whatever little sanity you have and become a massive blob of black energy with countless eyes called abstraction. So that's a guillotine slowly looming overhead. Anyone, and I repeat anyone, would be freaking out over this. And as a result, it's a simple defensive mechanism to hide in oneself. It's called turtling up, and an act of withdrawing and seeking emotional safety. It's a coping method that a lot of people have when they're dealing with stressful times or when they're being overwhelmed, and it's natural. But it's essentially putting up a bandage on a gunshot wound. It's good for short-term stuff, but it's not something that can be useful in the long run. Though, and you can chalk this up to the pacing of the show, it isn't long until Pomni realizes that while she may be stuck in this world, eventually in the second episode she comes to terms that she isn't alone. Against her will, Pomni is kind of forced to interact with others. At first, she's distant and annoyed with them, like with Jax being Jax.
Like this!
But she also is kind of forced to come to terms with the digital life she's trapped in when she meets with an NPC who's realizing he's nothing more than digital code, and how his life up to this point is nothing more than a falsehood. It's a mirror that Pomni sees, and of course when she tries to help the NPC Gummy Goo, we get this line.
This may seem weird, but I think I know the feeling. Maybe not the exact feeling, but feeling like you're nothing is kind of normal. But you still care about your buddies up there, don't you? I'm sure they still care about you.
What does it matter? What do we have when you people leave? We're just obstacles, created to be defeated and forgotten.
You don't have to be. The circus, the place I'm from, if it has to be my home, maybe it can be yours too.
The point is that when it was Pomni began to actually open herself a little, she was able to find a connection between someone who was experiencing the same existential crisis she was. And that's kind of the focal point where Pomni was able to express herself, and she was pretty much left with no other choice but to open herself up to calm down the NPC, even going so far to offer the Gummy Gator a better place to live and...
Oh, looks like one of these guys made it through!
Wait, what?
Look, despite that horrible twist, which was very entertaining, it still allowed Pomni to get comfortable enough to open up, even just a little, and that would open up the door for where this would go.
What is going on?
With all that said, with Pomni being all gung-ho with guns isn't suddenly becoming a different character. If anything, it's the next step in Pomni's arc. Not surviving the madness of the circus, but engaging with it. If you really think about it, episode 1, Pomni spends most of the episode trying to escape from the circus. Meanwhile, everyone else is doing the little hide-and-seek game they're doing. Episode 2, she's forced to see another being come to terms with a digital nightmare. Episode 3,
I know you'll be able to get through this. Just hold on to me. No. We'll get through it together.
This has been a gradual shift of Pomni's character. A natural result of her realizing the circus and her aren't really going anywhere. And if you can't escape, you have to adapt. And that she's not alone in this nightmare. She's seen the others have dealt with and coped with this digital prison. Some in less than healthier ways than others, admittedly. And this change is driven by the people she's stuck with. It's not a sudden shift as it is a gradual one. And sometimes when you've got months, sometimes even years between episodes, it's easy to forget how much time has passed in the story actually. And even more so that people won't remember little details of what happens. Like, getting off topic tangentially, that's kind of an issue I've noticed with some indie productions like this. That because of the details and smaller things will slowly get lost to the sands of time, or rather people's memories don't seem to recall all the information, only taking in the bigger stuff. That is a fault in the medium right here. It's a criticism I have, but not one I'm too hung up on, because again, indie projects, it's going to take time and that's just the root of the issue. But because of that, it's also easy to forget how much time actually has passed in the story. Getting back to the Amazing Digital Circus, Pomni's development isn't flipping on a light switch. Her growth has been gradual over the past 5 episodes, built upon interactions, existential crisis, and every moment she chooses to keep going instead of giving up. Plus, let's be honest, the circus is effectively designed to push people's mental limits and then break them. Kane's not exactly running a therapy session here, at least not one for the group. He's throwing the cast into very outrageous scenarios. It takes a strong mind to take that and not break after so long. Pomni isn't becoming a different person, she's breaking out of the mental barriers she made for herself, learning to roll with the punches. Though it's obvious there are still plenty of curveballs being thrown at her. It's why she's making an active push to make a connection with everyone, including Jax, seeing the other sides to him when he's vulnerable. And in that same vein, getting back to the time between episodes, I can understand how some people would be able to view Pomni in a different way, and how the development she's going through isn't the same as that they've hoped for. To that I say, oh well, everyone's got their expectations and there's nothing wrong with disliking a direction a show or a character takes, but this isn't out of character for Pomni. Her development has been on display throughout the story and it has been kind of blatant. And that's something that I really do appreciate Pomni for as a character. Her development is actually believable. Yeah, it's a slow burn, but it's an effective development for the character, and watching Pomni go from someone who is breaking down from her situation and slowly becoming more open through the experiences she had with her characters is fascinating. And that's frankly what you want to do, regardless of your character. If you're aiming to have your characters evolve through the story, it's such a simple concept to see them evolve through their interactions with the rest of the cast.
Please don't come alive.
Okay, I won't.
It's easy to really boil down some characters to a handful of traits, even in this show, and especially at the beginning of it. You had Kinger being the crazy one, Zool being the foul-mouthed loner, Gangle the shy one, Jax the pseudo-masochist, and Ragatha being the nice one. That's mostly by design for the characters. And that's how a lot of stories begin. You have a handful of characters who are easy digestible for the audience, and when the story continues, you unveil the layers of these characters. And this applies to Pomni as well, because eventually, she was able to see the personalities of them. Kinger, Sandy, and the darkness. Oh, and him being a badass with a shotgun.
I got a shotgun. Well, that wasn't so bad.
Gangle's breakdown after being in a soul-crushing fast food job manager position. Jax and his fear of corn. Yada yada yada, you get the point. The thing is, there's more to the characters than just their one-note characteristics. More sides to these people than the surface-level observations. You can even see this from the beginning when Kaufmo's funeral happened after he abstracted. Pomni sees that these are actual people, and slowly her defensive walls begin to crumble, because she sees it's okay for them to drop their walls as well. It's why when we get to the more recent episodes before we get to the guns, Pomni's willing to help out Gangle by taking a closing shift, or...
Do you have any actual friends? Not anymore.
And of course, when you get to the bar scene, you get this lovely gem.
I sometimes got bored of things, and I would seek out mild thrills, like exploring abandoned buildings, you know.
A scene where we can actually hear the pasts of a good number of the characters expanding upon them. It's a comfort and bonding exercise to share personal pasts, creating relationships. And we did learn more about them, and frankly speaking, it makes sense. Let's really focus on that bar scene because it's a turning point. When Pomni opens up about seeking minor thrills in her past life, exploring abandoned buildings and making YouTube videos about it, it's not just a throwaway line. It's a glimpse into who she was before the circus. Someone chasing little bursts of adrenaline, maybe to feel something real in a world that felt dull and suffocating, trying to get out by making videos that would get people to watch them. Sound familiar? That's exactly the kind of person who might latch onto a mysterious VR headset, hoping for an escape, looking for a thrill, some fun in their life, having color being thrown into a world of gray, only to end up, well, here. This moment in the bar isn't just about her past, it's about her starting to trust the others enough to share it. Compare that to episode 1 where she's practically catatonic, barely able to process Kane's unhinged tour of the circus. She's not just hurtling up anymore, she's poking her head out of the shell, testing the waters. And yeah, sometimes it'll be awkward, sometimes it's messy, but that's what real growth looks like. It's not gonna be perfect all the time. You're gonna stumble every once in a while.
I'm so unbelievably disappointed right now.
So that's where Pomni's at. A young woman trapped in the body of a jester, confined in the digital space, who sealed herself in order to protect herself and traded that for a gun. In all honesty, I'm all for it. Now, I'm not expecting Pomni to turn to Joshua Graham and go,
But we can't expect God to do all the work.
now that would be a real heel turn there. I mean, at most, from what we've seen, I'm expecting Revolver Ocelot. But Pomni's growth isn't betrayal of her character, it's the circus doing what it does best, breaking her down and building her back up, one chaotic episode at a time. From turtling up in episode 1 to bonding with the crew by episode 5, she's proving that you can find strength in the weirdest places, even a digital nightmare run by a ringmaster with a screw loose or two. And it's not the end of the story. With the looming threat of abstraction over the heads of each of the characters, there are a lot of questions still to be had for the series, especially when it comes to them. In any case, Pomni's journey is a reminder that even in the most colorful and insane stories, growth of characters is messy, gradual, and worth watching. So what do you think? Is Pomni's gun-toting phase a natural step, or are we all just hyped up on digital adrenaline? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your takes, especially if you got wild theories about where she's headed. I'm MangaKamen, and don't forget to like, leave a comment, and if you want to support the channel even further, I got Ko-Fi, Patreon, and channel memberships where I'm going to be doing shorts for members this coming week. Those will be available publicly in the week after. Of course, if you're being cool, you can just share the video. It's free, and it helps out the channel too. In any case, have a nice day, and later folks.